Disruption Networks. EC Radio. Disruption Networks.
What up, everybody? It is Blur's Day here on EC Radio. We are live on Disruption. Follow along on all Disruption Network social media platforms, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, maybe later on Instagram, who knows? But pretty much social media, that's our thing here at the D. Much love to my sponsors before we get into anything. Much love to EJA Moving Services. When you're ready to move and relocate, hit my man Eddie and his phenomenal crew. Have them move you wherever you need to go. If you got gym equipment, if you got animals you need to move, whatever you need to move, Eddie will do it for you. Hit him up at ejamoving.com. Also, much love to Utica Coffee, Saranac Brewery, and attorney Dave Longaretta. If you need legal help, call him at 315-735-6162. Shout out to my girl Danielle Padula and my friends over at Broadway Utica for the launch of the Backstage podcast today. Bravo, ladies. Knocked it out of the park. You guys killed it. So proud of you. So you can check out Broadway Utica and the Backstage podcast twice a month here on Disruption Network. Coming up tonight, No Time for Nonsense with Bill and Ryan Vinci. And then at Sunday, I got to let everybody know on Sunday, I'm pretty excited because on No Time for Nonsense, 3 o'clock, Bill Vinci, Ryan Vinci has Marty Buron from the Sabres, the goalie from the Sabres. He also played with the Rangers. He played with the Devils, but Marty Buron, he's a commentator for the Buffalo Sabres. And my guest just showed me a Buffalo Sabre jersey. So that got me thinking I got to promote this Marty Buron appearance here on Disruption Network. I'm beside myself that we have an NHL legend on the network on Sunday. So make sure you check that out. No Time for Nonsense Sunday. And check them out tonight at 7 o'clock. So joining me today, live from the LP, the western side of the state of New York. I love it. Flying Babies Holiday himself, Mr. Brian Christie. It's good to see you, old friend. How are you under there?
Wonderful. Just wearing the mask until we figure out our social distancing here.
Yeah. I love the little backdrop you got going on. You got a little fire going on from previous Flying Baby holidays.
Yeah, definitely. This one was done in Niagara County a few years ago, and this is necessarily what Flying Babies is about. Everything that we do on the lead up to any of the shows, any of the bands that play, or any of the lead up, like going on tour with the Dead. The tour part was just as fun as going to the show. That's what this is about. Blind Babies Holiday is about the moment when we have blind babies. You've been there, Z, and a lot of other people, know about it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see you. I love what the artistic capabilities and the artistic expression that you have with blind babies. So you get together, you create these pieces throughout the weekend, and by the end of the weekend, you light them on fire. And it almost like a Burning Man type of vibe to it. Am I correct by saying that?
You are correct. I not to take anything away from Burning Man because it is quite an impressive thing, but I had never heard of Burning Man when we started this in '95. It was just a matter of, when you go to these festivals and some people are there just to maybe party and hide in the woods. I'd never said anything like that on my flyers. It was come together. And, I found that if it's like a hippie bug zapper, really, if you do something like this, they come out of the woods and get together for at least half an hour and have everyone present.
Yeah, and it's an amazing, like watching the fire behind you, I'm so warm and cozy right now. I want to get marshmallows and have some s'mores. Well, so what's happening in the LP these days? How's the western side of New York? How you guys handling quarantine right now?
The gaslighting has got a lot of people scared, and I'm not saying that it's not a reality. It certainly is. I think I don't know what to say about it without thinking too hard about how long of a time this has been and how much it kind of makes me sad. Z, I like a lot of my friends have had a lot of loss, and my son is out of school, and my daughter is graduating this year, and she doesn't get any of that. So life is good because I have this time with my family. Life is good because I won't ever have this time again, but it sure is interesting, right? For all of us.
Sure. You keep your mind occupied so you don't get sucked into negative thinking and whatnot, correct?
And thankfully, because you gave me something to look forward to, so thanks.
Oh, man. No, thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me. It's been so long. We go back before we started this podcast. We were talking about how far we go back, and you're a booking agent, booking One World Tribe and bands like that. And God, I remember booking One World Tribe at Captain Trips and of course at the Electric Company so many times. Did you play with them at one time? Maybe you were doing percussions or?
Oh my gosh! Wait a second. Sorry. We're just scrolling through videos, and some of them are a little crazier than others. So.
It's all right. Was there some nudity?
And this is a lead up. I'm going to answer your question. I'm sorry. This is a lead up fire to the Blind Babies fire that happened this evening. This was an artist in West New York out of the Rochester area, Kevin Gray. He made probably a 30-foot tall giraffe in honor of Salvador Dali's one giraffe painting. So that's the giraffe on fire. But no, I unfortunately, as many instruments as I've had in my life and as many musicians around me that could have helped me, I've never been quite a musician. So no, I haven't played with them. I may have hit a drum or two around the band, but no, I've never been a part of the band. I love them and their message and what they stand for. They're way important to our scene. A band that scratched the top and hung around out there and played a lot of big shows. A lot of big acts, especially in Rochester, Syracuse. You always be so welcoming to them in Utica, and it really helped us develop the Throughway tour, if you know what I'm saying. So they're a great band. They mean the world to me, and they just played not the last Blind Baby, but last fall. They actually played it, and whole band with Preach and everybody. It was wonderful.
Oh, right on, man. Crazy Kenny on guitar?
No, actually, he left the band a while ago. I really don't say about that. I always wish he'd still be there, but the band is still just strong. They've moved through a lot, either because they've been around since the '90s, either unfortunately through death or loss, or people moving on. So Kenny was the original anchor of the band. He's just not there.
Gotcha. Shout out to Kennedy too, and Preach, of course, man. One World Tribe. I had a lot of love for those guys. Many memorable nights at the festivals and throughout the bar scene. And like you said, the I-90 tour, the Throughway stop, which was so strong and had great presence in the mid and early '90s, man. Some of your recollections from your remembrance of those times.
In the early '90s. I owned 4 different stores in Erie County where boutique style stores or head shops where bands would come and want to sell their gear there, and then local bars, the larger bars in Buffalo that didn't use Ticketmaster, they'd use me as a northern Erie County ticket location in my stores. So necessarily bands started approaching me thinking I had some sort of cachet in these bars. And had one World Tribe eventually, 100 Ice Animals back in the day. But everybody knows, coming out of Buffalo, you're talking about Mo. Even though they weren't really residents from here, I mean, Vinny was as a drummer for other bands in Buffalo. But Mo, with the way that they were able to persevere and kind of make a path for me and 100 Ice Animals, the band I worked at that time, when I broke into working. And then bands across the state, especially, I hear you talking about these bands like Yoke, which meant the world to me. They played the first Blind Babies holiday. They played other Blind Babies holiday. They were a remarkable band. Ominous Sea Pods and the bands from the Albany area. And there you were in Utica where, not just you, but I mean your market was always so welcoming to whatever was thrown there. Not saying that Utica loved every band blindly, but there was a market there. It was great. It was great to know that it was there, and so many festivals popped up around there that it was essential. It was essential as any other college town. I know your town's way bigger than a college town, but like New Paltz, these other towns that you had to get there, or else you're just playing Rochester too soon again while you're making your way to New York City, or you're playing Syracuse too soon. You know what I'm saying? Route.
You catch it on the back end type of thing. You'll start the tour in the beginning of the month, and at the end of the month, you'd come back on the back end, hit like Utica, Rochester type of thing. And on the front end, you'd be hitting Buffalo, Syracuse, Albany.
Yeah. If a town would have you, and thankfully your town did, and thankfully because of you, it remained an open door for a lot of bands. You should be proud of yourself. I'm very thankful.
Stop it, brother. But thank you. I do say this a lot too. If it's not for the upstate New York like music scene, there really isn't these big festivals going on. I mean, you were doing it back then, and Scotty Palooza, who was a founding father, right? God, R.I.P. Scotty Palooza. I miss him dearly. There were so many great little festivals back in the day that were of such a big thing and something to look forward to every summer that you don't have a Bonnaroo or a Coachella or any of those big major corporation festivals, if not for the upstate New York festival scene. Do you agree?
I entirely agree. A couple of festivals that entered my life preceded Blind Babies, certainly, like Grassroots, and then Blue Heron in Jamestown Market. I don't know exactly. Down there in Jamestown. And I would kind of study those because I had this band, 100 Ice Animals. They really were willing to tour. We all lived together. Most of us did, like 80% of the band. And they wanted to tour. So I thought, why not put together a show, let them headline, this is pretty basic formula. And then every band I had there, we swapped gigs. So that's what the first one was. I had Yoke and Mitch's Infidels, which at the time Vinny Amico from Mo was in. And then in Yoke, the drummer, he just mentioned it. Is it Jim?
Yeah, Jimmy Laughlin.
Yeah, Jimmy played with Mo the night before. And then he played, as he says, on a flatbed trailer at the first Blind Babies. And so, I don't know if I'm really answering your question, but I could tell you a quick Scotty story that makes me feel like I answered the question. Can I do that?
Yo, please. I would love as many Scotty stories as possible, please.
So if you're honest about Scotty, all right, I have just as many stories where ideas were just ideas, and I have a lot of great to say about him, but as anybody, not everything is great. So if that's unfair, I mentioned that first, I just want to say I'm not walking around like a lot of people did, not really understanding the whole business of this, if that makes sense. So Scotty and I were great friends. We learned a lot about this from each other. And I'm proud of him that he had the shoulders enough to carry his name on that festival, but I would never have done it. I wanted my events to have their own life. His life, or his personality, though, I give him all the respect. His personality was big enough to deal with. I wanted to just kind of orchestrate from behind. So my Scotty story is when he first realized that Blind Babies was out here in the world, and he came around and said, Brian, I can't believe this. You have this festival so much earlier than I have. His big raspy voice that I probably can't get correctly, but he said to me, nothing pissed him off more in his career of festivals that he didn't have Scotty Palooza. He had it after Jerry had passed, but Blind Babies preceded all of these other festivals because we had ours in June of 95, the first one, and Jerry unfortunately passed in August 95. So it was a running thing. Every time he saw me, every time he introduced me to his wonderful group of people, because, you have your group of people in central New York, Utica, and of course, circles out and rings from that as you met his, and then you would have met my massive people. Every time I met his people, he wouldn't let that go. And it was so flattering, but then again, I just didn't know if he was giving me a little bit on that one where, hey, this is Brian Christie. He had a festival while Jerry was alive. So, he's the innovator, and it always made me feel a little unfair. But he really treated me well, and in and out a good person, for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. I miss my 3-hour phone conversations with him. It was just, we would talk like two little schoolgirls. Hilarious, but definitely a polarizing figure. He was a force on the scene, that's for sure.
Saying it because none of us are an angel and a sinner, or we're all angels and sinners at the same time, not being religious, just saying this shoulder and that shoulder, right? So I cared for him quite a lot, and 3-hour conversations with him, if those were ever taped, mine with him, man, oh man, people would know, hey, Brian, this man wants this much money, and we would help each other make some of these situations we got ourselves into more affordable, if that makes sense, because we could share knowledge that others didn't have. You know what I mean with you.
I know exactly what you mean.
So we shared industry secrets and kind of felt like we couldn't do without each other, and it was good to have fun like that with.
Yeah. He was that dude that I'd call and vent to. Like I'd call and complain to if an agent screwed me over or whatever, if like another venue got a show over me or however, how the industry goes. But Scotty was usually the first one I'd call and bitch about it because chances are he had beef with the person that I was having beef with too.
And he performed at Blind Dating with the Snowflake Experience, and he would essentially many blind babies take the mic and be the MC and really bring some life to the show. And it was fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. Do you expect to do Blind Babies this year, or have you? Is it in discussion, or?
Well, if you mean that really sparks a big question. So I hope if I go on too much, you just stop me.
No, I want you to go. Go ahead, man. It makes my job easier.
Blind babies, there's certain criteria with everyone, and one is within a year's time before the year ends, it has to happen, or else I've broken the tradition that we've played. So literally, Z, we just had a blind baby during quarantine, and the video's out there. It was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. And like I said, that would spark a kind of a new conversation, whereas we've had blind babies, the smallest blind baby ever had 4 people in it. And again, that's another point of contention with our group that we call our massive. And that's the video of it behind me, where people get real angry, really, like they go away from us. They don't come back when we don't invite them. But during quarantine, things were getting low for all of us. We needed inspiration. We had it. So we created this blind baby. It was maybe a month ago. So essentially, a lot of people have their vision of what a festival or blind baby should be. And when I don't meet their potential, it's not what it is for them. Okay? I make so many people angry to say, if I was to do this to make money, I would be cheapening what it is. So from the first one to now the 28th one, which we just had a month ago, it's not there to make money. It's there to let the people who want to be a participant in it get it out of their system, get it done. And we will always have it until they say we can't. During the quarantine, we started feeling a pressure like, I think they're telling us we can't do what we want. We have freedom. And we weren't going to be able to get our people together, so we needed to have it. We had one in the fall at a winery, and I always butcher their name, but Lighton Buffalo Winery, Niagara County Winery, run by 2 great local people here who also need your support. So if you remember the 2 words, Lighton Buffalo, look them up and order some wine for them. It's great. You know where it came from? It came from the dirt right here in Niagara County, or the grapes from the earth. And basically what I'm saying to you is in the last less than 6 months, we have had 2 blind babies, and we're having discussions about having another this summer, but I don't guarantee that. We don't need to do another because of the one we just did prior to December of 2021. But as I said before, we do 1 or 2 every year just to fulfill the traditions we've set in place. So if this is getting too nerdy, whatever. It's just something to keep me happy.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, it's your passion. You're so passionate about it, and it's your baby. I mean, for a lack of a better term, right? Blind baby.
Well, when you say that, it's the fact that my son Bishop and my daughter Maggie and my wife Kim, who's quite an artist, we've all really taken it on instead of my kids saying, "I don't know what you're doing. You're just an old dad." Like they've seen this since they were little babies. And it's all very common to them. So they've seen things, been a part of things that other kids haven't, that I think have help shape them as smarter, more intellectual, more open-minded people, and at the very least, more street smart. And we all need that, where other kids don't have. You know.
So true, man. So true. Don't you wish there was a street smart program in school?
Well, my son thinks about it. He's like, well, who's going to teach me to write a check? Or who's going to teach me how to pay my bills? And I said, I guess that's up to us. But street smarts, yeah, I hear you. You know, I think school has its street smarts as long as
it depends on what school you go to.
Yeah, it depends. Exactly. Yeah. So, like, again, going back to the blind babies, you know, like I said, there's been 4 people at the least, but I've never strived to make sure that my number, like, I don't want to get in a pissing contest with myself, because and I need the successes in my life to bring on the next day. And when I share this with other people, when we share this with other people, a lot of people get it, and a lot of people get it wrong. And I know that, you know, anything you do, most of the world will never know about it, never care about it, but it's how much you care about it. And we've used this for inspiration, for art, and in all shapes. The music and the bands that play have always meant the world to me. And the people who understand, it's, again, like all opening pieces to lead to this fire, so that, you know, we've always invited people, if they have something important to them, if they have something that they need to become more temporary in life than permanent. Like, we've seen drug abusers get rid of their regs and stuff in this because they felt that drug addictions were too permanent. You feel what I'm saying? Or they had something from somebody in their past they wanted to rid themselves of. And it's just up to people. It's like a reset button, if you allow it to be. Or it's just another stupid thing. So in life, it's what you make it out to be. It's how important it is to you. The largest blind baby only had 870 people. And when I say only, you know, we're talking about these festivals. You're putting me in the same words of festivals that have done 10, 20, whatever thousand people. And I'm glad for them. I'm glad that the artists and the people can do well and hopefully get paid or paid well. And it's the lifeblood of all these artists. But this, to me, is more of a collaborative. Every band got paid. I never shorted anybody. It's just when people come and they think it's more about them than the collective of us coming to this thing, we really hope then when they're there, they kind of get it. Do you see what I mean? Like, some of these festivals, like, buy a ticket, go put your tent over there. We might turn on a water fountain for you and put out a porta potty. But, you know, this is whatever we are comfortable with. We'll have 4 people, or when we open it up to the world, and if another 870 people come, you get what I mean? I don't really care. And it is quite different than when I was 24 years old.
For sure.
To all these, you know, young people. And then the last time I really handed out flyers kind of looked like this. So then these young, cool kids are like, oh, geez, Dad, I don't want a flyer, you know? And I'm like, oh, gosh, wait now. I'm actually, you know, a dad age, so whatever I'm peddling here, they're probably not that interested. So, you know, we just open it up in bubbles. People hear about it. People attach themselves to it. The one at the winery we did, I think, with all the musicians and all the people present, there's like 62 people. It doesn't bother me. It is what I want, because if everybody's kind, everybody's nice, everybody gets the point of this, and everybody's able to look in each other's eyes and see a thread between each other and know that they're safe, because a lot of these festivals aren't safe. You know, a lot of these festivals, women won't go by themselves, or they won't bring their children because there's just too much going on. Well, this is more what Blind Baby is. So if I went on to it, I'm sorry.
No, Brian, how do you come up with the themes every Blind Babies? Like, what gets created throughout the weekend or throughout the night?
Well, that goes back to the spectator or participant sort of thing. When we really had a strong group of just under 500 people, either through the mail or through email, and then progressively, obviously, through social media, it's not like I put it out there and say, hey, you know, let's have a color theme or something like that. We've had other artists come and have art builds, sculpture builds that they have burnt there. So they're allowed to do that, you know, as long as we know about it, because we do have to be fire prepared. just to show the impermanence of the art. So that's basically what it is. So as far as a theme, our personal theme, the first 8 fires was very rudimentary, like pantyhose stuffed with newspaper and like, I don't know what you'd call it, but stuffing of a pillow or something. And it was the shape of this baby, which is like the original artwork of it. And it sat atop a chair that we built. And all weekend, people would get involved by either adding wood and adding their art to it. And then on Saturday night, we would burn what was there. And it was the community fire. But then around the 8th or 9th one, I went out and just said, I am not this artist. Let's get some real art in here. And an artist locally who's between Pittsburgh and Buffalo Lockport named Scotty Vai did maybe 3 or 4 of them. And oh my gosh, the things that he made and that people got to look at all week. And then also he did art installs around the venue at Freedom Park where we were for maybe 12 years of all of our years. It was just people taking over and getting involved. And then after that, most every Blind Baby that's been built has been built by my wife and whatever team she puts together. And that's Kimberly Christie. She's an artist. She has a website and a Facebook at Kimberly Christie Fine Art. We sell art together at our Big Cartel site, would be Kimberly Christie at our Big Cartel. But, you know, that's a little plug, but that's what we do for work. We hold events, we have events. She has art classes. And to be honest, that kind of is my answer, that since she came into my life 15 years ago, she's been the art director of Blind Babies. Therefore, maybe I might come up with the idea, or more importantly, one of my children, like my son, has come up with a few of these, and then we build the art with their direction. And as long as they're willing to part with it, we'll make it, because we have to burn it. You know, it's as long as they're willing. Some people get too attached to that. I hope I answered that.
I love how you have the whole family involved. That's great. Put them all to work, right?
If my kids think I'm cool at all, this would be the only reason. And this is what I thought they wouldn't think I was cool for. And I love being accepted this part of my life. Because a lot of just punch the clock, go to work, come home, and what else is there? See, here's the this is Blind Babies merchandise, her paintings. Her and I have used a camera, not a photographer, and we have 29 different art cards that we sell. 10 or 11 of 10 of them are prints of her paintings, and then the rest is our photography. And we've done really well with this, Z, to be honest. But when
That's great, man.
Yeah, when Corona hit, though, it really slowed down, because I don't know if you can trust what anybody's sending you through the mail. You know, you don't know if they're sending you a blankets.
So true. So true. Plug the website, man.
This one is Kimberly Christie Fine Art .bigcartel.com. Thank you. That means the world to me. We have blindbabiesholiday.com. We don't sell anything there, though. It's just a information site. And then, of course, we're on the Blind Babies Facebook. Kim's on Etsy, eBay, Big Cartel. And she sold paintings around the world, Z. It's amazing what you can do now with a computer. Like in the 90s, man, when we had no other outlet than our flyers and calling people. Now she honest to God, I'm not just saying that, she's selling paintings worldwide, but they've never seen her. They've never went to one of her gallery shows. It's just because of this computer. It's brilliant. I wish we would have had this. I know that our reach would have been further, without a doubt. There's a lot more legwork, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. A lot more gas mileage, too. And tolls and all that other stuff. But yeah, no doubt, there was a lot of legwork, because the kids don't know. You grab a stack of flyers and you'd go town to town and try to pick out what shows were going on, so you can hit as many people as you could, passing out your flyers and getting the word out there. That was grassroots style of promotion, my brother.
Definitely.
They don't do it anymore. Or you go out and you get the staple gun, the big old 11 by 17 posters. You go to the telephone poles, on to the next. That's it. Nowadays, you just put up a post. You go in your bedroom and click. You don't even have to go in your bedroom. Just click post on your phone now. You don't even have to go anywhere.
Fighting against the algorithm now.
Mm.
And Al Gore's always against us in his rhythm.
Hey, so bro, were you working with any bands, booking or any of that, managing before this whole Corona thing? Are you currently working with anybody now, or is that taking a backseat to everything else you're doing?
I always spot fill gigs with Tribe, and that's just something I feel blessed with. I think about the light here. There we go. I've always been blessed with the relationship with that band. It's not exclusive anymore, and that's probably for the best for them. But exclusively working with anybody, no. That's not very interesting. But there's every year I work with a festival or two, consulting them, helping them with their talent buying, kind of like a middle agent. If they can't get their hands on a band, and I can, I'll help them out if it's interesting. But Z, it's been mostly. I've been more of a family man over the years now with my children and trying to really support my art, my wife's art, so that I don't have to go punch a clock and be yelled at anymore by them.
Right on. I can't blame you there, brother.
Yeah.
Can't blame you there. One band that I need to talk about because it was a life-changing experience for me. And I don't know what year that was. Maybe you can remember what year it was, but it was Catawampus Universe at Sterling Stage. The late night set, the Sinatra Lounge. That set and talk about Scotty. I remember I was hanging with Scotty, Scotty, Joe Sweet, and I remember the dudes from the Jug Band were there, and it was just like all our crew, like everybody was there, and it was late night, having a great time. And Catawampus Universe blew our minds. Like that was a life-changing experience for me, man. Are those guys? Is Joel doing anything anymore? Is he still out there? What's happening with any of those cats?
The history with Catawampus is long, but what they're doing now would only be a reunion or two every year in Lexington, Kentucky. The band, I don't know how many of them live in many places, but Joel himself lives in, I believe, Southern California. He's a photographer. He very talented, very interesting, very artistic, very important person that I've ever met. The lead singer I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Wow, that band, I've said this before, and I've hurt a lot of people's feelings. That was the greatest band as far as the live experience. One World Tribe really is right up there. And, of course, I wasn't Yoke's booking agent, but, the live situation or Botfly out of Michigan, there were very few bands that I thought could come and take control. And Catawampus every night, but specifically that night, Scotty, am I coming in and out of the light? Am I good? I keep seeing that.
Yeah, it goes in and out on you when you're changing scenes. That's good right there.
So to talk about, I found that band with my old partner, Tiny, Scott Myrick out of East Lansing, Michigan. He doesn't live there anymore, but he and I, not to drop names, but I'm saying my focus with him was like any focus I'd have with you or anything to the city or going north would have been on the thruway, and we worked together. But I had another vision at the same time of sending bands around Lake Erie. So I was working in the direction of Erie, so there's One World Tribe, and you go into Ohio and all of those markets. Well, they were in Lexington, so just southern Ohio, right across the Kentucky border. And then my partner in the booking agency, it was Myrick Music Management, he was in Michigan. So he had a lot of bands there. I had a lot here. And the bands in the middle, they would submit to us. So he was working with a band out of Lexington, which was the remainder of a band called Days of the New, if you've ever heard of them. And also Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains. And they were all in Lexington at the time, or at least practicing. And we found them, and I picked them up. I would rather say Tiny allowed me to pick them up because he could have had them. And I couldn't have been more blessed. They played every part of the United States and played many shows and tours with Normal, supporting them. So then Scotty found them through Blind Babies, and it was a night at Blind Babies in 98 or 99, and it rained horribly, and all the bands kept bailing out, and they had driven all the way from Lexington. I had them stop in Cleveland at the Euclid Tavern and maybe in Erie, and then, make it to Freedom Park in Niagara County here. So that's when Scotty got to see them, and he couldn't stop talking about them. He could not believe it. And if you know what I mean, they were a reggae band or they were a rock band, but they were
a funk band. They were everything. They were all over the place.
Yeah, when he left the band, and I hate to say repeat stuff that's negative, but I always worry talking to you, I might step on people's toes because I don't have that many affiliations, say in the central Utica area, that if I piss somebody off, I don't care. So I can say, like Scotty said, when they lost Joel, the lead singer, he said it was like trying to deal with booking Catawampus was like you'd have the revolution, but you didn't have Prince. So good, but where's Prince? So when they played that night, I was there with at least 15 or 20 people from this part of Western Europe because they couldn't miss it. And I rolled up with One World Tribe and Catawampus to the Sinatra stage same night. One World Tribe played. The bass player, Mike Chin, was so sick that they had to stop their set about 20 minutes, 25 minutes early. And they succeeded that to Catawampus. They couldn't have been more thankful. They were just like, you get 20 more minutes. And the Sinatra stage, I believe, and you could clarify, only existed because the town of Hannibal only wanted sound, so late at night. So we could go over here. If I'm right, Z, right? Go over.
Yeah, I think so, because it's a little more, the PA is directed in another direction. So, you have it going this way, it's the exact opposite. And it's in it's much smaller area, of course, and surrounded by a lot of trees. Yep.
Yeah, so One World Tribe played, Mike Chin was sick, and Catawampus got to hit the stage with an extra 20 on their set. And I don't really want to repeat what Scotty said. I know I think I had to go to say anything, but Scotty said some of the most beautiful things about a band that everybody there was just so caught up. There was everybody. See, it's hard to explain, and I know you were there. So we all have these experiences at shows, and we're like, I wonder if that band felt it as much as I did. But they meant to be there with us because they had efforted so much just to be there. Their pay was nominal. They just enough to get there. No disrespect. That was fine. They accepted it. But to come and know that they got to come out of their home state and share a mutual love on that night. I remember looking up at the stars. I saw you there. I saw Scotty there. After Scotty was on stage, I walked with him to the side. And if my recollection's wrong, it's just very romantic that you were there and Andy was there.
All of us. Yeah.
All of us were there. And because of you, because of Scotty, and truly because of the band, I kind of felt like we were all we were together. There were no barriers between us. And a lot of times when I go to these shows, you got these lot wooks and all these old arrogant deadheads and these fish heads who act like there's some high school caste system between us all. We all spent the same amount of money to get there, or we all efforted to be there. So those people, all the walls were broken down. I don't know if I've gone on too long. It would mean a lot to me if you could say a little bit about it too, because I trust that night is in the top maybe 4 or 5 of my most favorite, not national shows, like shows I had a hand in.
Same. Well, that was, like I said, it was a life-changing experience for me that whole weekend. Now, they played a Saturday night, Sunday morning set, right? Was that what? Because I remember the lead up going into the set was Scotty. Z, you got to check out Catawampus Universe. You're going to love them, brother. You're going to love them. That's going to be your new favorite band, right? That's how he talked. And so, all right, so Scotty's telling me I need to go because Scotty would tell you to go check these guys out, but he was so adamant about it. You need to see this show. So, of course, we went down there and caught up with all our friends. And, of course, friends with all the bands. So it felt like all the bands were back there watching that performance, and everybody else was sleeping. It was just like all the musicians and all the bands and their crew people were just watching Catawampus. And it was a good togetherness. And I just remember everybody looking around, and everybody had their mouths to the ground at how awesome they were. And like you said, they mixed genres. They were a rock band, they were a reggae band, they were a funk band, they were a hip hop band. They were just grooving. They were all over the place, man, playing old school 70s funk, and then just mixing heavy metal with reggae too. I mean, it was just mind blowing. They were way ahead of their time. And now I listen to a band like Fire from the Gods. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they do have a little Catawampus vibe to them. And every time I hear this one particular song called American Sun, it reminds me of Catawampus for some reason. And I have a little flashback, and it takes me back to being at the Sinatra Lounge back there with the fire going, and and watching everybody having a great time, man. It's definitely a memorable night for me.
So it's one of those nights, man, that as we all get older, you reminisce about for certain. The good old days are today, but that was one of them.
Yeah, the good old days, man, for sure. Let's see. Do we have people on here? Yeah, we do. Dylan's saying hello to you, Dylan Rickard.
His family has always been a part of Blind Babies, and just like my son, thankfully Dylan, because he's a younger man, he's a family man and has a child recently. But I'm saying he's another. Since we've had history since '95, he's another great person who grew through his family to be a part of Blind Babies. I believe, if I'm right, Dylan, you were a stage manager at one of the Blind Babies at one of the sites in Niagara County. So thanks for your help.
Well, that's what he's saying. It's one of his favorite childhood memories and adulthood memories, and he loves you. So much love to you. Thank you, guys. Everybody out there in Facebook land, if you could do us a favor and click the share button and help spread the word of EC Radio, Blind Babies Holiday, and all the things we're doing here on Disruption Network. Dylan's also saying the winery was a blast.
Yeah, that was Blind Babies number 27. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a Niagara County winery in the Heartland area, Middleport area. Great wine, great people. It was One World Tribe and Experimental Sandwich. That's another band, Z, that maybe we could, like right now, don't really know their future, but their past, what they've done for us, like I've said, 100 Ice Animals, Catawampus, One World Tribe, Yoke, and whatever band I'm leaving out, I'm going to catch heck for it. But this band, Experimental Sandwich, if you've ever heard of them, gosh, just so grassroots. Their fans took buses everywhere they went. All the love that they shared just reminded me of the mid 90s when we were all putting our lives on hold just to have that experience with your friends and with the music and with the art. They really made me and Blind Babies catch another generation and feel young again. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. What other bands out there right now that are you really taken to? Are there any new bands you can tell us about?
So I don't know if this is what you're looking for because they're national.
It doesn't matter. Whoever you're listening to these days, yeah, for sure.
And they're not an overnight success because the band itself, they were out of Massachusetts and now they're in LA, is Stick Figure, if you've heard of them.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, man, that band means the world to me. They're just like a motivational song, remembering to look for better days and keep peace and inspiration. And not every music I want to listen to. So, sometimes you got to get on the harder side or the classic side or any of the sides. But, when I'm starting to feel down, this fire's going right in the side of my ear.
I love it. Actually, it looks cool. It looks like Godzilla's breathing on you right now.
Yeah, this situation, this is actually a practice for Blind Babies we did at North Fork Music Park in Warsaw, New York. And if you can see what's happening, we have 12 20-inch box fans facing a center like cauldron with 3 or 4 like cartons of lighter fluid. And we got our physics just right, Z, that we spun that about 20 feet into the air. And this was just the practice. This was Friday night. Most Blind Babies, Thursday night, we have what's called Whiskey Night. A band called Botfly that came all the way from Michigan would always bring their bottles of whiskey, and they'd come a night early with the people who were involved in the festival, and that became whiskey night. I'm very thankful for that. And then Friday nights is just like any other show. And then Saturday would be Blind Babies. So anyway, not to change topics so quickly, but that is just us practicing on Friday night at that one. And then I used to own a redemption center. My wife and I own a redemption center here in Lockport. So we built walls around a 20-foot area with 5,000 2-liters, and knowing that you could see the fire through it. And then we put 25-foot poles and hung this big phoenix that my wife made, and we burnt that. And oh my gosh, you should watch. I think you did see the video.
I did see the video. Yeah. I saw the video. It's pretty epic.
No, we just took that place over. The people who were with us, like the ECC crew and Experimental Sandwich and all of the BBH Massive, there was a festival going on, because that's what we do now. We will hold our individual events, and we will also could be inspired to go to other events. We see the right part in it and have Blind Babies there. And we were lucky enough to be a part of that event, where I believe the proceeds of that went to 2 individuals who had, I wish I remembered, but some sort of, what keeps you in a wheelchair? Maybe MS, yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, help them. The money from the whole thing went to buying them new wheelchairs. I didn't even
cool.
think of it, but like, if we can find something that's inspiring, we'll get into that too and share our art.
I love it. Maybe we should collaborate on something, brother.
I'd love it. I'd love to get into other spots. We've been in many different locations. We've been in Niagara County, a handful of locations. The majority of our history would be at Freedom Park, where you have been. But we've had 2 at the Great Blue Heron Festival site. We've had 3 at North Fork Music Park, and at that winery. And like I said, many in different Niagara County locations that we kind of have to keep quiet because it's private land, or because we did it in a quarantine about a month ago. So I don't want anybody to know where we were.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't blame you. Can't blame you there, man. Right on, brother. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today, man. This has been fun to chop it up with you. It's been years since we connected. So this is the one thing that's been cool for me, and the silver lining of all this, house arrest that we've been on, is I've been able to catch up with old friends and old musicians that used to either play the club or play a festival, or that I used to book. And it's cool just to walk down memory lane and reminisce and talk some old stories and whatnot. And you're definitely right on that list, man. So I'm glad we were able to do this.
Me as well. It's very flattering that you'd asked to discuss something that is just a creative thought. This is not a money thing, and I see that in you, okay? I wouldn't have done this if I thought you're just trying to pull money, and we all need money. We need to make money, but I feel like you're doing this because you want to, and I thought there was good spirit in that, so thank you.
Oh, man, of course. Yeah. And I like to reconnect. That's just the whole thing, reconnecting. If there's anything we could do here at Disruption for you too, man, let me know, whether we could sharing a flyer for you or whatever, If you have any kind of ideas or whatever, please throw them at me. My phone's always on for you, brother.
As mine is for you. Thank you.
Awesome, bro. Everybody out there in Facebook land, if you can share this, it would be great. Just click the share button. Shout out to everybody that's been hitting up our virtual tip jar through Venmo and PayPal. Thank you so much, man. People are so generous this time of year. And, considering the state of affairs that we're in right now, people have been so cool in donating to our virtual tip jar. So thank you so much. If you're interested in helping out the D, XYTODA at Venmo, or on PayPal, sales@disruptionnetwork.net. Tonight, No Time for Nonsense goes off at 7 o'clock. Bill and Ryan Vinci. And also tonight, I got to give a shout out to the Copper City Brewing Company is having a quarantine concert in conjunction with 315 Music. My shout out to Mike Coley, man, doing some good things with Copper City Brewery. Seth is playing, Isaac's playing, Nash is playing, Kate Devin, John Liebing, who is the guy who inked the EC Radio theme song. He's playing tonight, Jay Schnitt. That's going off at 8 o'clock tonight on the Copper City Brewing Company Facebook page. Also, on Sunday, you got to check out Agent Paranormal, 7 o'clock with Dustin Perry. He's the rock star. What is it, the rock star what, Todd? Oh, he was on Ghost Hunters. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Yes, Dustin Perry. from Ghost Hunt Party. Thank you. I don't know. I honestly, and I'm ashamed to tell you that I've never watched Ghost Hunters. So, but if you are into ghost hunting and that's your thing, you can check out Agent Paranormal on the D Sunday night at 7 o'clock. And also on Sunday, Martin Bioran, the former goalie from Buffalo Sabres, is going to be joining the No Time for Nonsense people. Lots of great things happening on the D, baby. We've got some content coming for your ear holes. So make sure you lock it in at disruptionnetwork.net. Follow, subscribe, like, comment, share, all those things, social media, Disruption Network. Shout out to Todd, too, at the studio for always holding it down. Big ups to our girls over at Broadway Utica for the Backstage podcast earlier today. Go over there, watch it, like it, subscribe, share it, do all that stuff. Thank you, everybody. Brian Christie, thank you for hanging out with me today. Fine Babies Holiday. You guys rock. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay creative, my brother.
Thank you, Z.
Todd, we'll see you, man. We're out. Everybody have a good weekend. Peace.